Hello again, everybody. I'm Caleb. Welcome back to Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema. Today here on the channel, I am kicking off Shawtember, and it is our very first Shaw Brothers related video for the month. That's right, it's September, and for those who don't know, in the Kung Fu Cinema world, September is where we just celebrate and love Shaw Brothers. We talk about everything that's to do with Shaw Brothers. Obviously, one of, if not the biggest production companies of martial arts films that has ever graced the planet, really. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about a movie that is very special to me. It's also very special to basically to the Kung Fu movie industry, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But yeah, today we're going to be talking about a little movie called King Boxer. I love this movie. It is one of my all-time favorite Shaw Brother films. I have tried making videos in the past about that were focused on like my favorite Shaw Brothers films, like a list of 5 essential Shaw Brothers films, which I'm going to be doing, but this movie will not be on that list, and the reason for that is because I'm talking about it specifically in this one video. So yeah, today we're going to be talking about King Boxer. I did a podcast episode on King Boxer a few years ago, and in that episode, I talked about what happens in the movie and whatnot, because for those who don't know, my podcast, also called Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema, I'll leave a link in the description, sorry, so you guys can listen to that. But yeah, in my podcast episodes, I usually do plot recaps, and I talk a little bit about production and stuff like that. So I've already talked about what happens in the movie King Boxer, but today I'm going to be talking more specifically about the impact that the movie has left. And obviously, if you guys saw the title, you know that I'm going to be talking about that. So yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it. King Boxer, once again, a Shaw Brothers film released in 1972. It was released in, I got my notes right here, it was released in April of 1972. It starred the late, great Lo Lei. And in the movie, the gist of it is that Lo Lei plays a martial arts student who is sent to train with a very wise and very skilled kung fu teacher, and he's training with him to get ready for a big martial arts tournament that's coming up. And along the way, he runs into a lot of problems. He has to deal with jealous students, and he deals with some evil martial artists that are brought in from a rival school to help get rid of them, and all that other really crazy stuff that happens. But we get a crap ton of fight scenes in that movie, and a lot of really crazy blood splatter effects and all that really fun stuff that we like in the Kung Fu movies. But yeah, once again, I am mainly going to talk today about the impact that this movie left. Many people have said to me personally that I've interacted with many people who don't really care for King Boxer. Many would say that it's not their favorite Shaw Brothers movie, which is totally understandable. It may not be the best Shaw Brothers movie out there. It is one of my favorites, but it may not be the best one they ever did. There are a ton out there that could definitely be seen as more enjoyable than this one. And just to give you guys a little bit of an example, one thing that sometimes bugs me a little bit with King Boxer is the fight scenes. There's a lot of them, and I like them, but it's the editing. Editing's kind of weird, but that was just how it kind of was back then. Editing was tended to be a little bit choppy because a lot of guys would jump around and stuff like that, so the editing would get kind of choppy when characters were doing stuff like that. But that's just like one really small gripe I have. Other than that, I really like King Boxer. But anyway, yeah, back to the focus here. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about the impact that King Boxer has left, because whether or not you want to say it's one of Shaw Brothers' best films, it may be, maybe not, maybe not. But yeah, anyway, regardless of whether or not you want to say it's one of Shaw Brothers' best films, you cannot argue. I mean, if you're asking me, you cannot argue with the impact that this movie has had. It's a very important movie, particularly for us over here in the United States. So yeah, King Boxer, once again, released in Hong Kong in April of 1972, However, we here in the United States did not get it until almost a year later in March of 1973, and it was released under the title Five Fingers of Death, which I think is a pretty badass title. I like that, even though it doesn't really make any sense, but I don't know. I like that title, Five Fingers of Death. It's pretty cool. But anyway, yeah, so at the time that this movie was released, again, March 1973, it was a huge hit. It came out around the time that the David Carradine Kung Fu series was starting to make waves, and that was popular. I believe the TV pilot aired around that same time, and then the actual show itself didn't actually get going until a couple months later, I think. But the TV pilot had came out around that time, I believe, and so yeah, the Kung Fu pilot was really popular. King Boxer came out, and that was really making waves, and people really loved that movie, and it paved the way for so many other things to come out. I have notes, so if I keep looking off, that's my notes. I know I already said that, but yeah, if I keep looking off, that's my notes. I just want to make sure I hit all the right bullet points. But yeah, King Boxer really made waves, and it was actually the first Hong Kong film to top the U.S. box office. I did not write down how much money it grossed. That's my fault. I should have looked into that. But yeah, it was the very first Hong Kong film to top the U.S. box office, which was again in March, and then in May it held a top 3 spot. The other 2 films that were holding spots in the top 3 were also Hong Kong films. The other 2 were Lady Whirlwind and The Big Boss, and those are 2 other really great movies, obviously. But anyway, yeah, back to King Boxer. Because this film was so successful, obviously, like I just said, it was #1 at the box office, and then by May it still held a top 3 spot. Because the film was so successful, again, it paved the way for other films. Like again, Big Boss came out, and Bruce Lee's other film Fist of Fury came out. Those movies were also really big box office hits, and it helped solidify Bruce Lee's legacy over here in the United States as well as the world itself. But then obviously after King Boxer's success, and after all the other Hong Kong Kung Fu films that were coming out at that time, after the success of all those as well, that is when Hollywood and Warner Brothers more specifically realized, okay, they realize, hey, we can make a martial arts film because people obviously really like this stuff, so let's see if we can do something. And that of course gave us Enter the Dragon. So yeah, in some ways, Enter the Dragon may not have happened. It probably would have. I honestly don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm making a really bold claim here, but it might have happened. But then again, maybe not. But we'll just go with the idea possibly that Enter the Dragon may not have happened if it had not been for King Boxer, because it was such a success. And then they realized, okay, let's get more Hong Kong films over here in the theaters. And then those came out, and then all those other movies were making a lot of money. And then they realized, hey, okay, we can do Enter the Dragon. So yeah, and then of course, that was where the North American Kung Fu craze started. The North American Kung Fu craze of the 70s, more specifically. Tons of films from Hong Kong, Kung Fu films more specifically, were coming out at that time, and they were huge. They were really blowing up, and of course, it's like like a ripple effect, basically, and then then the 80s came along, and then so many other martial arts films are being made, like all the films with like Van Damme and Seagal and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. I know this is a bit of a short video, but I did just want to touch on that a little bit because I really love the movie King Boxer. It's a really fun movie, despite like the kind of the weird editing that it's got going on. I think it's just a lot of fun. I mean, and the movie was influential in a lot of other ways. Quentin Tarantino has said that it's one of his favorite films, and obviously, if you guys have seen the film, that siren tune, that's what I call it, but the siren tune that you hear in Kill Bill every time the bride sees someone she's fixing to kill. That same tune was also used in King Boxer. There is a character in King Boxer who takes people's eyes out. So yeah, obviously that film was highly influential, and it again paved the way for so many other films out there. So yeah, I highly recommend that you guys check out King Boxer, also known again as Five Fingers of Death, if you haven't already. I want to keep throwing Five Fingers of Death in there because I really like that title. so yeah, I highly recommend you guys check that movie out, because it's for me, it's a lot of fun. And if you end up not really liking it that much, that's totally understandable. I mean, I get it, but again, you can't argue with the results. You can't overlook how influential this movie was, and how big of a splash it made, and when it premiered here in the States all the way back in 1973. So if you guys are looking for ways to watch that movie, I'll give you 2 ways that I know. The very first one is that there is a Dragon Dynasty DVD released from many years ago. I used to have that DVD, but I don't have it anymore. I passed it on to a friend, but But the reason I did this because I upgraded to Shawscope Volume 1, and King Boxer is on Shawscope Volume 1. And this is a really great release. It's got some good stuff. It's got some good artwork by Darren Wheeling right there. But yeah, if you guys can't afford the whole Shawscope box set, I mean, I get it. Things are expensive these days, but yeah, there is another option. There's a Dragon Dynasty DVD that I mentioned. But yeah, I definitely recommend that people check that movie out because, in my opinion, it deserves the attention, and I can't stress it enough. It is highly influential. But yeah, that's it for this one. So once again, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that really good stuff we say here on YouTube. I don't know if I had already said that. I might have said at the beginning of the video. I don't know. But yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know in the comments what you think of King Boxer, aka Five Fingers of Death. There I go again. And let me know what you think of other Shaw Brothers films. Like, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite? I like to know either way. And that's about it. Don't forget to listen to the podcast as well, Kaleb's Kung Fu Cinema. We have another episode airing later this month. It's going to be out on September 15th. It's going to be a Shaw Brothers themed episode. We're going to be talking about a Venom Bob film called Invincible Shaolin. I'm really excited because that's a really great movie, and it's going to be fun discussing that one. So yeah, that's it for this one, and I'll be back very soon with a couple of other Shaw Brothers related videos. I'm going to finally be doing an essential Shaw Brothers list. It's going to be 5 films, and I'm trying to go with movies that I don't usually see on lists like this. I'm trying to go with like maybe ones that are maybe a little lesser known, but movies that I highly enjoy that I can just recommend for those who may not be that familiar with them. But yeah, that's it for this one. So yeah, once again, thank you guys, and I will see you in the next video.